Welcome back to the wood shop. Today we're talking about woodworking tools from Temu. Stay tuned. Now before we get too far, guys, be sure and download the Temu app for your smartphone. If you're interested in any of the tools I'm showing here today, I'm going to have a link in the description you can click on, and it'll take you to that particular page that'll have all these tools. And if you're first time users of the app, I'm going to put a discount code down there. Any of these particular tools here, you're going to be able to get just for $1. Now, everybody that goes here, you're going to be able to get a $100 coupon bundle. So for you first-time users, it may be a little confusing figuring out how to use those coupons, but it is very easy. So this code, you're going to actually go in here and you're going to look at this icons at the bottom. You're going to click U, coupons and offers, and then you see right up at the top here, it says enter coupon code. You just type the code in here and hit apply. It'll take you to my exclusive page where you can pick any item for $1. And Temu does free shipping, and they also do free returns within 90 days. And they would like to let you know if you've bought anything within the last 30 days and the price drops, you can request a partial refund. So let's jump right into it, guys. Now this first tool, I did take a peek at it. Of course, I knew what was coming, but let's jump in here. And I will say this is probably one of my favorite tools, period. Whether Temu sent me this or not, I know it's going to be a good quality tool, but it may be a little hard to tell by this, but it is a very nice set of Japanese pull saws. Of course, you don't see the blades, they're separate down in here. And there's no mistaking these, they'll only fit on the one it's meant to fit on. So the first one, I really like this. I've actually been wanting one of these for a while. So you see the handle for it here. Now here are the saws all put together. Very simple to do, just a single bolt with a nut. And as you can tell here, this double-edged saw, it's got actually a fine cut on one, of course on the other. And of course this one is a fine cut. These type saws really give you a very accurate, a very fine cut as well. You're not losing a lot of material because the blade is so thin, so you're not making a big kerf. But let me show you how those work. Now, admittedly, I'm probably not the most stable when it comes to using hand saws, but that is a very nice cut with a hand saw, of course, good and square, that kind of stuff. The next tool up we got is actually a pretty neat little device. It's actually a self-centering dowel jig. So this is going to put your dowel dead center of whatever workpiece you're working on. Of course, within limits, you've got probably, I don't know, 1 3/4, 2 inches somewhere in here. But you put that on there and twist. And then whatever size dowel you want to use, you want to get this particular insert threaded in there. It does come with several inserts, so you've got lots of options. And then you just take the corresponding drill bit, drill down to whatever depth you need it to be, and then you're ready to put that dowel in there. So let's show you how that works. Bit of a knot here, so hopefully we don't have too many issues. The wonders of working with pine. Okay, now if this were our actual finished piece, like I said, this is just scrap. We would add glue and that sort of thing. But we're just going to drive these in there and kind of show you how it works. Now, granted, I didn't do an exact measurement, so I could probably drive these home because I went a little too far, but that's beside the point. We'll get them about halfway and make sure we get these things lined up. I've got it turned backwards. Nice tight fit, and it's flush. That's a great little advantage of having that centering jig. And as you've seen there, very easy to use. You can tell here, I know it's kind of hard to tell, but that made that perfectly flush across the top. So alignment is great with that. That is the big key factor in that one, in my opinion. Of course, I didn't glue this one up. It was just for sample, but once you glue this up and get these aligned, those pieces of wood aren't going anywhere. Great little item to have for all your projects. So the next tool we got is another handy little device. It's actually these 3-piece acrylic plates. You can kind of see the pattern we've given here. If you're not familiar with these basically make what they call butterflies. And what that's for is if you've got a crack in the end of a board or even in the center of the board, to keep that from spreading apart, you would actually router out this particular pattern and then cut a corresponding piece that fits down in there. And because of the shape of the pattern, it prevents it from pulling apart. Great little tool. Also, I picked up, just because I didn't have any of these, I picked up some just very cheap, I guess you'd call them profiling bits. And you can see they got the bearing here. Now they're just the cheaper bits. It'll do good for what I'm going to do. I don't plan on using this a heck of a lot, but it's going to come in handy. Let's get these things mounted up. And you can see here I've already got it chucked up into the router. I got the small one on here because some of the other ones I got were a little too long. But let's show you how this thing works. And then we just take the template itself, draw it out here. This time we'll actually take it over either to the scroll saw or the bandsaw and cut this piece out. We may have to trim it just because the router doesn't make square edges. We could always take the chisel and do that, or we can just round these over. Probably a lot easier to do that. Like I said, they do have these pre-made where you can buy just these, so you're not having to spend your time making them. Anyway, we get the little glue on there. Paper towel. Now they do make those little butterfly wooden pieces actually commercially available to buy. so that you're not having to spend time making them. But just a quick trip to the bandsaw, and I made one, and now I will say it's probably not perfect. I got a few gaps here and there. A little bit more patience, we could have got that thing perfect. We could set up a pattern off of that, or like I said, you could buy those pre-made ones, so it'll save you a little time. But you can see here, for the most part, that's a very nice fit. Little hand plane, little sanding. Going to bring that joint good and tight and keep it from splitting out later on. So the next tool, or tools, as you can see, I've got 3 aluminum anodized squares here. These are a very nice looking, very sturdy made. I'm not going to call them a set of squares because these were individual, but I thought they looked so nice together. I would call them a set in my own shop. Be a nice collection to add to my tool wall. Now each of these has this nice red color, and they do also have some of these in different colors as well if you're looking for something like that. But also all these feature, kind of hard to tell, but you can kind of see through there, all these little holes, so you can use a mechanical pencil. Now you probably will need something small like this because these are very small holes, and fit in there, drag it along your surface, make a straight line. They do have measurements on here, although these are metric and I don't really read metric very good, so I don't use the measurements that much anyway. But you know, these can look good and that kind of stuff all day long, but if they're not square, it doesn't matter. So let's see if these are square. And you may have heard it before, but generally when you want to check a square to make sure it's square, a couple ways of going about it. One of them is to grab a very trusted square that you have, and in this case, this is a machinist square. And we'll start with the first one. This is sort of a T-square. This one comes unassembled, but you put it together, just 4 little screws here, very simple. We'll see if that thing is square. And I had checked beforehand and it was, but just to let you see. So that thing is dead on. We have the smaller, same thing, dead on. And what we'll call the medium-sized one. And again, dead on. Now another little trick too is to make sure that your square is square. Of course, it's going to depend on you using a piece of wood that is square. And I have squared this one up on the joiner. But basically, you put your 90-degree mark, lay it straight across and square it up. Mark that one. And then actually just take that same square and flip it over. Of course, you can look at your mark just to make sure it's the same, but you can also make you a pencil mark basically right next to that one. And right away, you can see that's even. Now, if this was not square, you're definitely going to be able to pick that up with your eye. It's going to be too narrow at one end and too wide at another, and that one is dead on. Now, this one you can't really flip just because of how it's made, but like I showed you with the machinist square, it is square. So very simple. Now, these are made to be 90 degrees. They don't have 45-degree setups, which that's perfectly fine with me. Either way, I'm happy with these. You need to get you a set of these. Click that link and go get a set. Now on to the final tool, guys. And now I'm sure you have seen one of these type tools. If you watch woodworking videos at all, a lot of people have these type setups. And I've been wanting one of these myself. And this basically is a hold down and push block. Of course, there are, popular name brands out there. This kind of does the same thing. As you can see here, this bottom is a very nice rubber coating in here, so it's very, not going to say sticky, but it's going to hold that workpiece down and not let it slip. It features this piece here, and what I like about this is actually going to give you your up and down on whatever material you're working on. But the way it works, there's no knobs and that kind of stuff. So basically, you can see this little piece inside here that pushes up or down. So you push it down, and you can adjust this one way or another, lift it up, and it's locked in place. And now, of course, you're not going to be wanting to hit that thing with your table saw blade, permanently damage it or anything because of the materials. But you want to preserve this as long as possible. And so you need to be able to move this inset piece here. It's kind of the same. It's got these little lift tabs. So you pick it up, and then you can take, probably want to use 2 hands just so it moves back and forth even. And you can see that moving back and forth very easily. And it wouldn't hurt, you know, if this does get a little crunchy later on, just put your little wax on here, keep everything moving smooth. So when you get it set where you need to, just take the tabs and push them back down. Now let's go over to the table saw and show you exactly how this works. I'll just say wow on that one. That actually worked better than I thought it would. You know, I've seen some of these for a while and been wanting them. Glad to have this in my arsenal now. So guys, we've got to the end of this basically, and I've showed you all these tools and how they function. Now, as with any of my tool videos, I try to tell you this is initial reviews only because I've not had enough experience, you know, long term to tell you whether these are great tools down the road. But as of right now, I'll say that these are great tools, especially for the price you're going to get and with that $100 coupon bundle, or possibly even a new user getting one of these for $1. You can't go wrong with that. So let's work our way from this side of the table to this one, and start with this push block, or however you want to call this thing. Now this is a very nice quality tool. It is plastic with rubber on it, so take that for what it is. But you know, some of the, you know, the name brand ones are also plastic, just a different color. Pros, it feels very sturdy in your hands. It also pushes very good, as you've seen. This thing does not let it slip at all. It looks good in your shop for one, you know, I think it does. Very easy to use as far as adjustability. Now, if there was any cons, I don't know, maybe just the fact that it is plastic, but like I said, I think most of these you're going to find are plastic, so it's not a big deal, but it feels like very sturdy plastic. So there's not a whole lot of this one I could say that, you know, it'd be negative. Maybe some of these pieces, you know, may break later on, but for right now, this is a great tool. And now on to the squares. And I'll be honest with you, I do these like a, you know, my favorite to, you know, least favorite, that kind of stuff. And it is going to be hard for me to pick which is my favorite. And I really love these squares. You know, it's just a square. It makes a straight mark, whatever. But these are, like I said, I picked these because I like the way they look. They're a very nice look. You know, very similar, you know, to some of the name brand ones at a fraction of the cost. But I can see these being being used a lot in my shop, you know, every project basically. Negatives, I can't think of any, other than the fact that, like I said, I know some people prefer metric. I'm no good with the metric system, that kind of stuff, but that's probably the only negative for me, is just, you know, that I don't actually use the metric system, but the squareness is what I was after, and I think I got that. Okay, and on to this particular doweling jig, self-centering. Now this one, I will say, I had a little bit of an initial issue with the adapters. Now, if you look at the picture on the site, it shows this end, but it shows this end being the top is where you would put your insert. I tried it that way, and it was actually wanting to strip the threads, so I ended up changing everything over to the opposite side and using what, you know, at least the website shows being the bottom. Not a big deal, however, it's screwed in. Still works just as good as it would have the other way. I can't say enough good things about this. It aligned those boards perfectly, as you've seen. Maybe the only negative on this one, it is a little small. I don't know if it'd be possible to clamp this thing down. Of course, there are some holes in here. You might can screw it down, but you're kind of marring your workpiece there. So just kind of holding it in place is probably the only downfall I see. Now we're on to these acrylic plates, the butterfly plates. And I don't know what you could say about these. Literally are just a, you know, couple of acrylic plates with particular designs cut out of them. So not a lot can go wrong there. They do what they're supposed to, you know, cut this out and make you a butterfly shape to, you know, keep a split from splitting even farther. And as I said, I picked up some of the little cheap router bits, the little profile bits. Now, only one of those would be the one I would consider to use with this, just because it is so short. These others, I'm sure I'll use them in another project. Now, as far as any negative, can't really think of much. You know, like I said, the bits are just cheap, but now the plates, you know, maybe if they come out with some instructions for these, not that it was too difficult to follow along, because you just take that bit and follow along with it. But it'd be nice if maybe they give you a little pattern to make those with, because, you know, it's a little tedious. And like I said, I didn't get the gaps perfect, so that would probably be on my only negative on that one. And on to the ones I started with, these nice Japanese pull saws. These feel great in your hand. I'm not sure exactly what that material is. They've got these wrapped in. It might be some sort of bamboo. I don't know. Don't hold me to that. But either way, whatever it is, it actually feels great. I felt like when I was using this one, it was, you know, probably not me so much, but it seemed like this rigid back helped keep this one straight. Very nice cut. Both of them actually. The one, as I said, it's got a coarse and a fine teeth. The one's just got the fine, but this is going to be great for like dovetails and that kind of stuff. And I feel like this is more like cut off. But this has got a shorter handle than the cutoff saw does. Now you will notice if you do buy this one, you know, they only fit for the one they're specified for. They won't be, you know, flip-flopped because of the way they're made. So yeah, on to any positives and negatives. Very positive all the way around for me. These are great. They feel good in your hand. They cut good. Any negatives? Honestly, I can't think of any other than, I don't know, maybe the wood appears to be oak. Now I did, with this particular saw, when I was tightening it, I heard a little crack, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. Other than that, I can't really think of anything negative. It appears to have a little bit of a coating on the saw, probably to prevent rust and that kind of stuff. I don't see that giving kind of interference. Nothing negative really to say about this, and they do have the hole in the top of the blades here, so you can hang them up very easily. So that's going to do it for this video, folks. What do you think about these tools? I personally love them. As I said, I'll know more about them as I do more and more projects with them, learn them. As I said, this is initial reviews, but initial reviews are very high for me on these. I know a lot of people don't like anything that's not United States made. You know, it is what it is, but, you know, if you can buy some good quality tools at a discount price, hey, I'm all for that. And as I said at the beginning of the video, be sure and download that Temu app and click that link I've got right here in the description. It'll take you directly to the page where all these tools are, so you can get you some coupons to buy these things. And as I said, if you're a first-time user, you're going to get one of these tools for $1. And if you made it to the very end, guys, I truly, truly appreciate it. Hit the like button if you would, subscribe. You know, I've always got these types of videos coming out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again on the next video.